Cousin. It's your favorite internet. Y'all. It's your favorite internet cousin. It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin. Cousin. Hey, it's your favorite internet cousin. Um, Yo, what up, y'all? It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey. Hey y'all, it's your favorite internet cousin, hey cousin, and I'm excited because we have a great, one of the best guests that I feel has ever graced this podcast, and not even a guest because we have become friends now.
Yes,
We become
cousin.
cousins. So I'm going to let this amazing artist, person, entrepreneur, content creator, uh, Black King. I'm going to let him introduce himself, talk about himself.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. A wonderful greeting. What's up, cousins? We in the house.
Hey.
And what's interesting about cousins is that sometimes we're closer to our cousins than we are to our brothers and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's weird how like we all have that favorite cousin that you feel
Yeah.
like is your sister or brother, but you're not brother or sister. So that's kind of how this felt from the
Mm-hmm.
top. B.Slade, B.S.L.A.
Yeah.
DE, and I am a content creator, content coach. I am obviously an Imagineer. I like to think of the future. Afrofuturism is my thing. I like how the past thought the future would look. That aesthetic is like mid-century, like your couch, mid-century
Yeah.
architecture, interior design, furniture. All those things interest me. Interior design, architecture, all those things. Frank Lloyd Wright, it's one of my favorite architects. And I love nostalgia. I like vintage, modern approaches. I like to help artists find their way. I like to help artists find their way as a content creator and not just as recording artists, because you have to have those skills now. And I also am a forever student. So I'm here to learn as well as share the wisdom that I have.
I love it. I'm
Yep.
excited about today because I think that a lot of people don't really understand how technical, like you said earlier, a lot of artists don't have both skills of being able to be a content creator and an actual artist.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and we were talking about this last night or the night before last about how a lot of artists are always like buy my music, stream my song, but a lot of people don't know that people have to love you and people have to like you and people
This
have
is
to actually want to see what you have going on. Can you
mhm.
talk a little bit about how you as a artist who came out in the 90s, who came
Mhm.
out when music was like
Let's
pop,
be
you
clear.
had all type of boy
I
bands,
came
girl
at the
groups.
end of the 90s, around 97, 98 is where I kind
Right.
of came in.
How does it feel being an artist of that time, but also having to be an artist of today's time?
Well, financially, it's obviously um, not as lucrative. It was already not, we should have been getting paid more even back then, but I would negotiate my deals a little bit different than artists of that time because I studied Prince a lot and just how he negotiated his deals and stuff. And I just took notes from that. The music to me and the beats were a little bit harder. That's just my opinion. Like there was just way more,
Work.
just the way the drums used to hit back
Yeah.
then were just a little bit harder. The snares were harder. The kicks were harder. I do miss that.
Can I ask a question about that? I'm sorry. Can I ask a
Yeah.
question about that?
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of music now has become, Mariah Carey said this on a video, microwave, where a lot of songs don't have that soulful feel. I don't even want to say soulful, but like things just doesn't seem right. It seems like good enough to be a song.
Well, the attention span of the consumer of that time
Right.
has shrunk a great deal. And I'm included in that. We've all evolved with how we consume media.
Right.
It's very, very quick. So there's not a lot of time to tell stories. Now, I know the microwave thing is something that a lot of people who are legacy artists or have been in the game a long time kind of have this romanticized recollection of how wonderful and how much better the late 90s and early 2000s were. In many fronts, on many fronts, they are right. On many, some of that stuff, you listen back to it, we were just hype or high or something because that shit was trash. Like some of them vocals and some of those songs were complete trash, bro. Like we trying to like act like everything was just so perfect,
Right.
in that time period. But if you really go back and listen, there was a lot of bad records too. Great beats with bad songs and bad singers. But that wasn't the point then. It got to a point where even if you sucked as a singer, that wasn't the point. Like before the 90s, you kind of had to have the actual skill as a singer.
Yeah.
Then when hip hop started coming into play and feature rappers, which people like Janet Jackson was like one of the first R&B singers to include a rap feature with Heavy D, and then Michael followed, and that, but that still wasn't something that happened all the time. So you started seeing that merge of hip hop, but no one anticipated that hip hop would be bigger
Mm,
than pop and R&B, and B, and that it would become the new pop. And
wow.
because of that, some people say, well, the music sucks now, or it's microwave, or it just doesn't feel. And I get what they're saying. The
Right.
the lasting power of people's songs and projects don't go that long. Like you could have one album and work one record with 7 singles for 3 separate calendar years back then. Now it's like you put your whole album out and the next album's out in 3 months. It's people just consume it very
Yeah.
quickly. Um, that's not pro or con, bro. Like it's just the times we're living in. I've had to make adjustments with not feeling offended by me putting my actual life in these songs, and then people move on from it so quickly. Like it's nothing.
Right.
It can't feel offensive, but
Yeah.
you just learn, okay, we're in a different time, so you got to make those adjustments.
That's true. As an artist, you have evolved so much. You have done so many different sounds. A
Yeah.
lot of your music has been rooted in gospel, but a lot of it has been rooted in R&B. It's been rooted in like the futuristic style esque type of vibe.
Hmm.
Do you think that there are a lot of artists who are afraid to express themselves? But also on the other side of that, is there another genre or another sound that you, as an artist, want to express yourself in within this next year, 10 years?
Yeah, I would say, and not just because of Cowboy Carter either, but
Right.
I love country music, especially
Mm-hmm.
like the stories that are told. Like one of my favorite country songs is by Dolly Parton called "Welcome Home," and every time I hear that song, I mean, I can feel the humanity, the heart, and the anointing. A lot of things that I'm missing from soul music right now, I find in country, certain artists. And then a lot of the same racism that I experienced when I was younger, is still very much alive today in country as well. Like the separation of like CCM and gospel, or like a Dove Award versus a Stellar Award. There's still a lot of segregation in
Mm.
base
Ooh,
constructs.
that is a good point that you brought up though. Can we talk about that for a little bit? Because I think a lot of times people don't really see the struggle that us as black artists have to face to
Hmm.
even be in this sector. Not just music, but like with award shows, TV, film. Like there are so many different sectors of us, especially as black men, who are very
Absolutely.
eccentric and very expressive about who we are and how we feel.
Yeah.
There is this thin line between, okay, we like you and we can use you, but also you crossing the boundary of what we
Yeah.
are comfortable
I
with.
see a lot of people borrowing from our culture, but not standing up for our culture. You know, it's almost like we will appropriate or use your slang, or like even people saying it's giving. Like that's, what I'm saying? Like that whole saying has been around for decades, but it's from a marginalized community. Like you'll use these different colloquialisms, different ways that we dress, different ways that we dance, different ways that we speak. And you'll hear it in cat food commercials, you'll hear it in dog food commercials, you'll hear it in potato chip commercials,
Yeah.
but you don't see a lot of these places supporting or standing up for the needs of people of color that they get their ideas from. And I just went into a debate with somebody online. They were basically upset about the fact that Beyonce won Country Album of the Year, and they thought that maybe Chris Stapleton should have won. And I was like, well, first of all, I love Chris Stapleton's voice. I always love him now. But to me, he doesn't even sound like country. He sounds more like soul and R&B to me.
Yeah.
It would be no problem if someone who was white won an R&B Grammy because it's happened so many times before. Soul Train Music Awards, even, And I'm not trying to be a racist. I'm trying to erase it, but you can't benefit off the culture but don't embrace it.
But don't embrace it. And
So I
that
feel like, how are you telling us or Beyonce or any other black artist that ventures into country,
right.
how are you going to say we shouldn't be in that field when we made it up? We made that up.
Exactly.
It came from our banjos. It came from our slavery times. That came from the black church. That came from juke joints. That came from slavery. That came from oppression. It's like you want all the benefits of the things that birthed these eccentric and very unique sounds of percussions and rhythms that came from us being the heart of the planet.
Yeah.
Black people, African music, we are the pulse of the entire planet. That's why when our music comes on, there's a certain feeling that happens. And so when we go back into country, because basically we got pushed out and were told, they were called race records at the time. If it was done by a black person, it's called a race record. But then white audiences started seeing that music was actually more popping, and they started like, hey, this is pretty good. Then you have Elvis Presley coming in, but you ain't got nothing but you ain't nothing but a hound dog. Big Mama Thornton is the one who actually recorded it, but then he gets the pop credit for this. He originated it. And the part that pisses me off is then they try to fuck around and grade our shit. That's the part I have a problem with. It's like you can't just study off of YouTube all of our licks, everything that we come up with, things that we do in our sleep. But because a white person does it, suddenly it's a big deal and it's a novelty. It's
amazing.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is so amazing. I'm like, well, actually, I know about 10 black girls who just sit around on their couch doing
And
this
do it.
and do that, but because they feel that because they've sat around and studied the technique and emulated the runs, you might be able to copy, duplicate, or even emulate, or even do the runs even better than the original person who came up with said run. Because there's so many vocal challenges and things. But what makes that thing distinct, you didn't originate it. Because a lot of those runs, a lot of those cadences come out of life experiences as a black person. And that's how we get through all of this shit. But you want to just sit around and copy it, study it, do it, and then be like, well, you're not doing it right. You got it from me.
You got it from me.
What are you talking about? And it's an epidemic right now. So it's hard for me to receive certain artists because I can tell they'll have us in the background somewhere. They'll have an all black band or black singers, but they all hidden up in the shadows. But then this white person, because they can sound black, they get pushed to the forefront. They want our music. Stephanie Mills said best. They want our music. They just don't want it from us. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
True.
I like all genres. I have all kinds of friends in walks of life. I went to black school and white school. So I learned a lot by being exposed to a lot of different styles of music. So we're not talking about diversity here. We're talking about people trying to tell black people how to do black music who aren't black.
Yeah. How do you think that there are a lot of artists nowadays who have become, especially artists who were out in the 90s, early 2000s, who have become and you don't have to say specific names, but but do you think that there are artists?
Now I was like,
Right, right.
I'm
But do you think there are artists who came out in the '90s and early 2000s who have had to feel like they've had to, I guess, roll with the tide to stay relevant or to stay, having money? Because a lot of times this is how people make their money. So do you think that a lot of artists who were in that time of having to like, this is real, like I gotta make sure this is okay to okay, well I can just
yeah,
follow along to get along.
I can think of several who I know they wouldn't be touring right now if number one, the rate of per stream was
Right.
higher because artists were always making less than they should unless you negotiated a deal like myself or Prince or Eminem or whoever. Sometimes people would negotiate unprecedented deals, excuse me, and they would, but those were rare. The average artist who signed off and got that advance, those big advances, a lot of those don't exist like that. And that's why you see so many legacy artists touring more than ever. Since COVID, you'll see more people you wouldn't think would still be doing tours, but that's the only way is through the actual ticket sales and the merchandise from said tour. And it's very grueling. I can imagine a few artists do not want to be out there on the road right now. I'm one of them. So that's why I had to do like Plush Boy and I had to do content creation and coaching and celebrity coaching and artist development, things outside of that, things that can't be streamed yet, like this
Right.
piece, because I'm sure it's disheartening to look at how easy and average and medium is celebrated while excellence and quality is disregarded. That's
Right.
a really hard pill to swallow for someone who takes their craft very seriously. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking your art seriously, but the artists that are doing well right now are those that don't take themselves too seriously. And that's where
Mm,
some of them are having a problem with the adjustment because there was a time, and I wish there was more of this. Aaliyah had this mysterious quality. There was a mystery that was there. Sade still has that mystery. She comes out when she has something to say, and you don't hear from her in between albums. She's going to live her private life.
right.
But these days in the modern market, you disappear for too long, out of sight, out of mind. So we can't take those big 4 and 5 year breaks in between records anymore. That's for
And
sure.
that's kind of it's kind of sad, and I've realized even for me, I'm a person where my favorite artist, baby, you got the maximum of a year and a half before I'm starting like, girl, what you
Where are you
doing?
at? What are
You
you
should
doing?
be working on something.
You
like
one of
right
them
now,
ones looking for it. You like, where you at?
where you at, girl? What you doing? Like my auntie Fantasia, Jasmine Sullivan, I love y'all.
But where's that album at? Come
Wait,
on. Where
I'm
that album?
looking, you know. And what we don't realize is like even
The real question is from Rihanna. Like, are you ever?
Rihanna.
I feel like she's never going to record again.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
I know
Rihanna.
I know she's in the studio. I
Yeah.
have submitted some songs for this new album, but
Right.
it's not a matter of if my song will make it. It's a matter of
Right.
if she even sees the need
Right.
with because she's making money elsewhere that she would never really make just with a
Doing
standard
it.
recording
Yeah.
contract. Not with the current streaming rates where you basically are making like $3,000 for every million streams. If this was 2005 or 2006, I'd be ultra rich right now. A lot of artists would not have to be touring and traveling as much as they do to make ends meet because people forget like even when you get the money, you have to pay the attorney, which can be upwards of $700 to $1,000 an hour, depending on which type of attorney you're getting, your accountant, your management, the CPA. Like then your taxes because of the tax bracket of the type of money that you're making, you're getting hit a different way as well. So people are like, why are they charging so much per movie? Why are they charging so much per album? Because after all of the top end overhead to negotiate said deal, the artists are usually left with not that much. And unless you have multiple streams of income, you will not be rich. It used to be you could do one thing and just be rich off that one thing. But now it's like, no, you need the book, you need the podcast, you need the clothing line, you need the fragrance line.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
need a coffee line. You need to make sure you got a makeup line, a wig
I'm just
line.
saying, caught it. Look, she ain't looked back since Fancy. Think about that. She
Right.
doesn't ever, it's not a, I'm sure it's not a priority to her because she already has the hits. I'm sure she's still making money off of her previous albums because everybody still has it in their playlist. It's on everybody's TikTok reels. It's on everybody's Instagram reels. It's on everyone's YouTube short stories. You still hear her music recurrently, but you don't see her pressed to go do an album again. Like you're anticipating a record. I've already chopped it up to. She's probably like, I'm good. I don't
Yeah,
need.
I don't even think that she cares about it. And honestly, I don't even think I would be upset if she, even if she would come out today or tomorrow and say, "Y'all, I am through with music." I wouldn't even be upset, because like,
I mean, I know I am. I do it as a hobby,
yeah,
but it is not my main source of income, and it hasn't been for some time.
yeah,
That's why I was like, let me get into my other ventures:
yeah.
creative direction, creative content coaching, artist development. Like I was saying at the beginning in the intro,
Right.
clothes can't be streamed yet.
Yeah.
Albums can't be streamed in physical form yet. I'm sure in the future there'll be some holographic technology, but until then, as of right now, vinyl is doing very well.
Yeah.
People are still buying physical products. People still want their own copy of their own CD. It's a newer trend. It's in vogue. But about 3 or 4 years ago in the Netherlands, you just saw a spike in the consumption of vinyl. You go to like Corey, Henry, and the Apostles, and the fans are asking, "Where's the vinyl?
I
Where's the
love
vinyl?" Yeah.
a vinyl record is really cute, especially
Mhm.
like on those nights when you just really want to have that vibe.
The vibe. You hear that
Other
crackle?
time, yes, and I love it. But see, I think that's what separates a lot of artists today. If we look at it from a different perspective, that's what separates a lot of artists today from like artists of the old time because now you have to really work to get streams and work to get the money. Back
Also,
then, I
it's,
mean,
it's crowded. It's super
right,
crowded. Everyone's a recording artist. The plumbers are recording artists. The postman, the Amazon package delivery
yeah.
guys, the deacons and artists, the pastors and artists, first ladies and artists, the kiddos and artists. The intercessory team has an album
The
coming out.
school teacher
The
got
praise
it.
team has his own album, and the praise team has their album, and each one of those praise team members has their own separate
Yeah,
single. So
coming out
like
on the
it's
same week.
oversaturated. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, the only thing that's going, you can drop a song. It's easy to just do your own music right now because people have their own studio setups. People record hit albums at home now. They don't have to
Yeah,
go to a studio. You don't have to do that.
yeah,
But what happens is that oversaturated market makes it whereas, well, what makes you
yeah,
distinct as an
yeah.
artist? What do you have to bring to the table? Because everyone has something out. Is it just that you want me to buy your single? Or, like you said earlier, we have to find out, do we like you first? And it's the latter. If the game has shifted, it doesn't matter how talented or gifted you are. They would, it's better to put your music as the background to some other activity that you're doing that has nothing to do with that song than it is to try to push your song. Because no, it's too salesy. No one wants to be. I put it like this: when I'm watching my favorite show, and you got like Amazon Prime, and you paid
Mhm.
for like a premium subscription, and you still got ads coming in after you paid for there not to be ads.
Whoa.
It's like I'm on here to watch this particular thing, right? Most people are scrolling on their phone because there's something that they're after. They're curating their playlist, the type of content that they want, and the algorithms feed them accordingly, right? So if you're coming in like, buy my shit, buy this and buy that, it's
Right
almost
now,
like you
stuff. Right
it's
now.
almost like you saying it's almost like you're a commercial to them. And I know I don't want my programs and my stories interrupted.
Okay.
But with your story, if your life story is interesting enough, you just making coffee, eating cereal, making up your bed, sitting there looking like you're working with some B-roll. And then maybe the song that you're trying to push is just in the background as like a soundtrack, but not necessarily the focus, or it's not like a concept music video. The likelihood of people asking about that song is higher because you're not trying to push the song so much exclusively as you are setting a mood or showing people your behind the scenes aspect, which also ties into your personality. And this is a new learning curve for a lot of artists from the era that you aforementioned, late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of those artists don't feel like getting on no damn TikTok. They don't feel like dancing in front of the,
Right.
it's exhausting, right? But the gag is, bro, the if you look at my insights on my Instagram, the videos that do the best for me have nothing to do with me singing. My dancing videos are always viral, and my information videos or edutainment based stuff or other people's posts that tie into my brand bring more followers than me pushing music out and hoping I get followers in return. So what you'll see on my Instagram is, yes, my stuff is there, my products, Plush Boy albums and different things, but that's not necessarily the point. You'll see me posting content that fits my life, my philosophical views, my fashion and aesthetic choices, my inspirations that still tie into my brand. But the point is not to push the shit that I'm doing. It's almost like a side order. It's not the main entree anymore. And artists from late 90s, early 2000s, 2010s are some, not all, but some are having a hard time with that transition of it not being about just your talent anymore. It's really about how do you solve other people's problems? They're like, I have this problem. Can you fix this problem? This is why we see now that YouTube is the second highest search engine. Remember, it only used to be Google. But now people want, if something's wrong with my laptop or something's wrong with this program or something's going wrong with Pro Tools and something's going wrong with Logic, I can go to YouTube and say, hey, this is what's happening. How do I fix this? And the answer is shown on YouTube with someone showing me hands-on while I'm doing it. I learn better that way. And those types of videos are the ones that bring the followers to the yard. Then once the trust is built, once the brand loyalty is built, once they find out and figure out if they like you or not, then they'll hear like the music in the background. They'll be like, yeah, this was a cool video, something unrelated to said song or said video. And next thing you know, they're like, what's that song I hear playing in the background? You let the consumer or the follower mention about wanting to know what that song is. You don't push the song. That's new. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to adjust to, but if you want to survive, you either evolve or dissolve. Is my, Nate Sinatra is a amazing producer and singer-songwriter, and he said you either evolve or dissolve. And some of this is just pure pride. I ain't doing this shit. Yeah. Okay, some of you are rich enough to not. Some of us aren't. We have to adapt and adjust. What do you mean, don't go get my single? What do you mean, new album dropping? What do you mean, no link in bio? You'd be better off getting the apps that say, hey, if you like what you're seeing here, leave this particular word in the comment section. And then there's an automatic link that goes to their inbox, so they don't have to go to your link in bio. Those link in bio is really done. I know it used to be a thing, but for the 2025 algorithms, I can promise you that link in bio, that's not the move, bro. Yeah. It's there's so many apps that are out there that you can program, hey, type the word dream if you like such and such. And when they type the word dream in the comments, not only does it increase the engagement, because that's what Instagram wants you to do. They want to see how long can you keep these people on the platform. This has nothing to do with your album and your career and your gift. We don't care.
Right.
Do you want something that's going to keep people on here for a long time? What does that? Engagement. What causes engagement? Interaction with the comment section. And a lot of the artists, when people do finally comment on your, or content creators, as soon as people do comment, but you do want those comments, y'all responding with emojis only and wondering why your post isn't getting pushed to the top of the algorithm. It's
Yeah.
because
Fire, 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 fire emoji.
what do you be putting up there? I put fire emojis like crazy, bro.
And hearts.
It's an epidemic. And you can't, I'm not saying you can't use them, but in addition to it can't be emoji based only.
Yeah.
If you're only doing emoji, the algorithm thinks you're a bot or you're spam. So it keeps you from going as far as you can go because it's trying to prevent someone getting hacked. It's thinking you're a hacker or you're a bot. Right. This is a recent for 2025 algorithm adjustment that I had to make because I figured as long as I'm responding with something, emoji or not, the algorithm sees I'm interacting with the viewers. That should be enough. I'm actually hindering myself.
Yeah.
I'm actually keeping myself from getting seen because I'm not actually typing something back. And if you don't feel like typing something back, you guys, use talk to text and speak naturally so that when the response comes up from talk to text, people feel like they're actually talking to you. And yes, it does take time. But you posting anything without captions and thinking it's going to go somewhere, you posting carousels without a backstory for why this caption was posted, you're gonna see people don't care. Nobody cares. But they do care if said post has some serious back meaning with substance behind it. When Instagram was first out, it was photo based. And people in the captions would describe what they felt when they took said picture. It was no video. I remember when there was no video on Instagram. I remember when it went to 15 seconds. It was twice the amount of Vine. Nick, you might as well have told me I had an hour's worth. I was so excited. And then when they went to a minute, oh, Eureka. And now it's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is keep people on the platform. And if you don't align yourself with what's going on right now, there's a strong possibility that you're going to get left in the dust, even with quality product. Ooh. My stuff is good. My stuff is great. I'm doing, this is how I do things. Okay. We don't care. We don't care how many records you've sold. We don't care how many platinum records you have, because now people who are nobody become stars overnight just because it's their personality connected with the audience more than their talent. And the talent becomes the secondary thing, like, oh, and you sing? Oh, and you have a business? Oh, and you do said thing? That's the vibes. And some people from that time not only refuse to make that adjustment, but resent it.
Yeah. That's really good that you said that, because I think a lot of times people don't really understand that there is a big difference. Like, there is a big difference between artistry of then and artistry of now. And like we have talked about for the past 30 something minutes, there is this thing of it'll either make you, or like you said, you evolve or you dissolve. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think people really understand the amount of information they're getting and who they're getting it from.
Yes.
I think a lot of times people forget, or people look at what society is saying, and they put value on people or on art based on what society has said.
Not what they were.
Right, but I want to say that B.Slade is a legend. If you see or if you hear the music that you have created that has impacted and inspired so many other people's music, that they probably won't ever say. They probably
don't. Won't ever. I hear myself all the time, nigga. I hear myself all the time.
Right, like the R&B field, the futuristic field in gospel music, in inspirational music, like
for sure.
You know where that comes from. The eccentric look and feel of I can be free now. That comes from people like you who have paved the way and set a path of people saying, like, I can have faith, but I can also be human.
That's
What
right.
do you say to those artists who feel like they're like a one track mind or one track artist, but they don't know how to actually, I guess, open up and expand and be themselves
Express themselves.
multidimensional. Yeah.
It will not come without some trouble, but I've noticed that when you stop caring, everyone starts caring.
Yeah.
A lot of it stems from I don't want to disappoint my family, my hometown, and I don't know what they're gonna say about me, and and I used to live there. I used to live in that space because I didn't want to let my parents down, or I didn't want to let my ministry down, or my chat group down, or whatever
Right.
it may be. They're gonna talk regardless, and that's what people don't get. Like bad and good press is still press. And if you can get past being talked about a little bit, if you can get past, because what it is that people are going to see something they want to do themselves but maybe didn't have the courage to do, so they attack the one who did have the bravery when in their heart of hearts in private corridors they wish they could pull that trigger too. And if you can get past that part, and if you don't mind people not um, understanding you, you'll go a lot further if you trust your gut, because you're constantly changing. And part of what when I first came out in the scene with just being an artist who was just a life artist even back then, but just happened to share my faith within that, I noticed that there were more people that were like me. They just didn't have an example of someone to show them. But there were so many people like, this is exactly what I'm on. This is exactly what I want to do. But I didn't have a lot of examples of how to do that. And trailblazers, unfortunately, don't get their just due. It's usually people who come from after that time that reap the benefits of the things that the trailblazer or the innovator or the imagineer brings first, especially in inspirational music, because it's so limited. Everyone sounds exactly the same. Like there's a praise and worship sound. And I'm so tired of the praise and worship sound. It's a sound. I'm not saying I'm tired of praise and worship. I'm tired of the formulaic, oh, this means I'm close to God sound. When it really is giving like Maranatha and because if I'm gonna do like more straight ahead worship and really want to feel something, then I'm gonna go to like a Michael W. Smith who ain't running all over the place, but the melody and the sincerity of his heart comes through in the lyric. Crucified, lay behind the stone, live to die, rejected and alone like a rose, trampled on the ground. He'll approach it with just almost like, I trust the melody, I trust the lyric, but the black person, crucified, lay behind the stone, live to die, rejected and alone like a rose, trampled on the ground. You took the fall. Okay, I mean, listen, that's
Wait,
great. And
wait,
black folks,
the way that you just ate that up.
listen, and sometimes that's okay.
Right. Right.
Personally, when I'm going into Worshipville,
Yeah.
I want something that someone
On
who
the word.
can sing.
Yeah.
That's why when it says forsake not the gathering of yourselves together, even more so as you see the day of the Lord approaching, it doesn't just mean the gathering in the church. It means making songs, singing hymns that have brought generations over in a congregational format where everyone, even someone who isn't that good of a singer, can sing. That unity alone raises the vibration, because when people get with one accord and sing the same words over and over again, something breaks after that third or fourth repetition.
Yeah.
So we can either all sit here and observe that you sound great and you can blow, and that cow can sing, they have to sing, man, she okay, fine, you got the accolades, but all I can do is observe how good you sing. I'm not a part of this worship experience because I'm so in awe of what you're doing that it's really about me just enjoying how you're enjoying
Yeah.
your worship. I'm kind of like on the outside of this experience, watching how dope you are in your gift. And that's great. Some musicians like that. Some, you know, you normally see other singers and other musicians going crazy over someone who can do all these different types of technical things.
Yeah.
But my heart hasn't been broke open
Mm.
because I'm just observing how good you are
Mm.
and hearing how dope you sing. That a Michael W. Smith may not be able to do all those things, but why do I feel more convicted? Why do I feel more connected?
Yeah.
That's the part about country and in white worship artists that I have to say I enjoy more. This is the irony of all of this.
Right.
It's that some of us want to prove a point in
Mm.
R&B. Some of us want to prove a point. When we get
Mm.
on, post our content, making up these challenges, all we're doing is just comparing circus tricks, pony
Mm.
tricks.
Mm.
That's all we're doing. Let me show you how you go to any open mic, bro, and all you see is a bunch of people trying to show how many tricks each other can do and how I can out-sing you and I can do this and I can do that. But I done lost the story of the song. I done lost the melody of the song for sure. I don't even know what song this is anymore because you done you done turned
Lift
this.
it up. It was a 4/4 beat. Now you got a 2/4 beat going on. Now you don't know what.
I'm not saying everything has to be sang and formed straight off.
Right.
I
Right.
also don't want people to negate that sometimes a linear approach can be very, very effective. And Michael W. Smith is one of the artists
Yeah.
that I learned that from.
What's the
Sometimes,
saying? Less is more, or less is better. Sometimes less is.
sometimes less
Yeah.
is more.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I don't that less is more. Sometimes that doesn't apply.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to grab that mic and go off from the beginning
Yeah.
just to grab people's attention. Come in, nigga. You know,
Yeah.
but then after you get their attention, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
That's the point. Everybody sings well now. People come literally out of the womb sounding like Kim Burrell because they all grew up listening to Jasmine Sullivan and Brandy, who listened to people like her. So a lot of them came up listening to things that on a regular basis that when we were coming up, we didn't hear that often, which is what gave artists their exclusivity because that person's ability wasn't available so readily everywhere. Now everyone has learned the runs, learned the style, but they haven't experienced anything. They haven't really went through anything because when you really grow in life and go through life, me showing you I can sing is not the point. If I happen to feel something to color, it's coming from a real place, not because I'm trying to show you
Yeah.
I'm a better singer than you, or I'm a better drummer than you, or I'm a better keyboardist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I First off, thank you, because I think that a lot of times, especially black church or Christians, they feel as if the only way that you can get someone to feel good, or to experience a good time in church, you have to squall, you have to
Mhm.
yell, you have to
Mhm.
run all over the place, you got to do a whole marathon on
Mhm.
the praise worship team, praise and worship 30-minute set
Mhm.
to get people to feel something. Is there an artist that came in your expansive musical career? Is there an artist that you I know you talked about Prince earlier about the business side, but
Yeah.
vocally and
Yeah.
skillfully, is there an artist that once you met them or you collaborated with them, you was like, whoa, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I would say Kim Burrell. When I
Yeah.
worked with her on Snoop Dogg's album, The Bible of Love, and she came in, she's that blueprint for so many artists, whether they'll admit it or not, or whether you like her or not. Her influence is all through the entire industry and has been for decades.
There. Yes.
It's there. I hear it all the time.
Yes.
But she didn't come in with that I'm Kim Burrell vibe in the studio. She really wanted to find new ways to express and grow and unlearn her own vocal and artistic ideologies. I was surprised. You know,
Wow.
when me and Kim Burrell first were on Tommy Boy together, she was a different artist then. We didn't quite see eye to eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was a she's evolved a lot over the
Yeah.
years for the better, I think. But once again, who I was back then is not the man I am now.
Right.
And I kind of went into it because people were telling me, why are you gonna work with her? You blah 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 blah. Because there was a lot of at the time when we would be working on Bible of Love, there was a lot of controversy surrounding her. The first time we saw that kind of controversy to a pop scale surrounding her. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to pass up this opportunity to work with Snoop Dogg and Kim Burrell on a song that I'm penning. What are the chances? And if I do get her in the studio, I want people to hear her. It's called Sunshine Feel Good. If you guys haven't heard it yet, it's a song called Sunshine Feel Good. Vocally produced it, wrote it. It has a dope Stevie Wonder sample in it. And I was just surprised at how she was willing to be a rookie student and approach it as like someone who doesn't have all the skills she has and really trust the song, the producer, the environment so she could grow and not get stuck or complacent in her countless victories.
Yeah.
There's not many people who can do what she does live. They have to do it in the studio. They can't do it without Melodyne. They can't do it without autotune. They can't just flat foot sing. Right? And then when I listened back to the song and she heard herself back, she'd never heard herself, riding the track like that before.
Right.
But she was willing to allow someone to pull other artistic personality traits out of her that she may not have found on her own. And that's how you stay relevant. So she's one of them. Another artist I was really surprised that they were not having that was I worked with Shaka Khan. And she was like, I call myself vocal producer and just saying like, okay, this is where this part happens. I wasn't trying to say, okay, do this like me. I was just saying, this is how this part goes. And she was like, don't tell me how to sing. And I was like, I said, Shaka, I said, no, it's not like that, sis. It's just that this is how this melody goes. And she's like, no. She said, don't do that. I said, don't do that. Don't tell me how to sing. So she ends up recording the song, at least her leads. All the backgrounds, we had no problem stacking those. And she loved how stacking the background vocals and stuff. But the lead vocals, hands off. She wanted to squall from the beginning, I guess, And I was like, the part of the song didn't require that. So I was trying to take, there's a story to this song. And ironically, this song, I'm in Love with Myself, was originally specifically written for Fantasia. It's funny that you mentioned Fantasia earlier.
Wow.
And she loved it. But the management that she had at the time got in the way of that. So it went to Shaka. And so Shaka was the type of person who was like, you know what? I can't do this recording session until I see Judge Judy. So she orders a TV to the studio, like literally orders a TV, not just orders the channel, but orders a TV, like this big ass plasma screen. And she like, I need Judge Judy first. This session ain't going until I see Judge Judy.
No.
And then when Judge Judy was over, she was like, you know what? I feel like I want to hear and play some steel drums. I was like, okay. It was so random, bro. They ordered her some live, real steel drums. And it was a vibe. She just randomly said, I want to try this. I want to do that. She would just order it. So then when she was about to like hit a note, like, because we did like 4 or 5 songs together that still have yet to be released. I'm talking about badass songs. And she just, I'm just like out of nowhere, this 5-6 octave range after taking a drag on a cigarette casually.
Wild.
So,
but that's what artistry is.
So each person is different. You can't force your approach to vocal production the same on each client. Just like as a stylist, you can't put what you're trying to do on one client on every client, because there's different body types, different personality types. There's a different mission. It's maybe a movie premiere, not a music premiere. It could be an award show, which is a different thing than you do for, a theatrical premiere. So I get that, but it was really interesting. She had to record her lead vocals by herself, and it came out good. Everyone has their process. I brought that up so people know, like, just because I'm B.Slade, I don't always have success as a vocal producer or arranger or producer with the artist as far as the way I normally go about doing things. And if I was closed off to that, I may have lost out on having a #1 record.
Right.
If I'd have gotten my feelings about it, I could have missed out on a wonderful opportunity. But each artist has a different way that they want to go about doing things. And either you can cope with that as a writer, producer, arranger, or you can't. It's a funny story, but I was like, when she did, I was like, I was just like,
I'm sorry. You're right. You do your thing.
But everyone has their own process. You know what I'm saying?
Ask you something else, though.
It was
I wanted to ask you, how has your faith been tested, tried, evolved since when you first started to now, especially correlating with artistry, music, creativity?
I would say these days it is probably the most interesting time in my career, because I just never thought we'd be to the point where music was such a commodity. People treat it like running water or air.
Yeah.
Not like it's the soundtrack to people's life, and that we have, as songwriters and singers, we literally shape memories.
Yeah.
We make moods and moments. We're responsible for people's moods. We're responsible for some people's children, because our music is how the child was conceived. Right. We save people's lives from taking their own lives by bringing joy in places that maybe a sermon or a speech can't.
Yeah.
And we used to get paid for that. And so part of the faith challenge is trusting that you're going to land on your feet and do well in other areas outside of what you're accustomed to. It's been an adjustment, especially post-COVID. And also after the LA strikes. It's been hard in LA out here. It's been really difficult. I had 2 opportunities that were going to cover, a couple of months of rent and all the other shit I need to do. And the fires prevented that. Yeah. So I realized that it's too volatile of an industry to only solely depend on that. And my faith to believe in the other parts of my life and talents that have not been activated, the muscles we have not flexed. Usually when someone's good at one thing, they're good at several things, they just don't reveal it. This is a time where I've questioned, like, what am I doing? I just want to keep it a buck with you. Like, why am I doing this again?
Come on.
It was hard because even my diehard fans stopped buying my music. They would only stream it. I was on Bandcamp. I had all kinds of albums on Bandcamp, and that's how I was surviving. When iTunes was the only way to download music before it was Apple Music, you had to actually download the 99-cent or the $14.99 or the $13.99 or the $9.99 album. I was participating more in each one of those downloads, like 85 cents or whatever it was after distribution. Yeah. Now I'm getting 0.000876 of a cent. And I'm expected to pay rent on that, while the CEOs of said distribution platforms are making $1 billion salaries. And it's disheartening. It really made me want to be like, you know what? I'm good on this. My own diehard fans, as many times as I tell them, and they'll say to me, well, this album's missing, and I used to have this album, and it used to be in my playlist. And like, well, you leased it. When you lease a car, you get to drive it and do whatever you want to for 36 months. And you got to keep that mileage under, right? You didn't buy the car. If you buy the car, you can keep it forever. So the reason why you're not finding certain songs and certain albums was because from the beginning, you should have bought the record. How am I supposed to pay for the studio time? How am I supposed to pay for the music video? How am I supposed to pay for the ads I have to buy on Facebook, Meta? Because if you put an album out without ads, you're never going to be seen. But now I can't even afford to promote the record because there's no back end on it. I'm losing money every album. So that really affected my faith, not just in myself, but in my base. I realized they don't have me either. And that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I got all up in my feelings to the point I was just gonna shut everything down. Like, fuck this shit. Y'all don't want it either? Well, then I'm done. I thought I had, I'm really done. Let me go try something else.
Yeah.
Let me go get an occasional odd job. Let me fill out some applications. Because I do not want to have to travel for a living. I want to be able to tour during a certain time of the year, but I don't want to just be hopping on a plane to pay rent. And that's the only way as a musician you're going to get it right now. So merchandise, that's the way to go. Having a book, several streams of income, but all those things take money too. You got to pay for the subscriptions. You got to pay for the workflows. Canva's not free. If you not the pro versions, CapCut's not the pro versions. You got to pay for that.
Yeah.
All of my workflows require subscription-based participation that the income from remaking albums isn't justifying it. I'm losing money on every record I make. And I never thought I would be that way. So my faith, even now, I'm just now kind of finding a way to move forward in today's marketplace.
Yeah.
And I'm not sad or anything. I'm not cynical, but I did have to pivot.
Yeah. And that's a big pivoting is, I saw a video the other day that said you have to know when to pivot. And you have to know when. And lately my prayers have been, Lord, help me to discern the times. Help me to discern when it's time to move on, when it's time to do this, or if it's time to do whatever. Help me to discern. That what you said was important. You have to know when to pivot.
You have to be reminded of your purpose outside of your gift and not take it personally, because it's really about informing and educating and lifting people more than pushing your own agenda. Because we have these ideas. Our ego is how we think people perceive us. It's not really what it is. Ego is, I've been doing this a long time and I do quality work, and so therefore I feel like it's worth this amount, and it should be remunerated accordingly. And that's how you see it. That's how you think people see it. But really, they just want you to solve their problems.
Yeah.
And if something you give can help their problem be solved, then that's where your gift comes in. But you just selling your gift, you just selling your project, you just selling your product, they could care less. Everyone's trying to sell something. What makes you different? Your personality, how funny you are, your authenticity, how witty you are. You know what I'm saying? These days, if you're trying to maximize engagement, you need quality over quantity. You got to focus on value. You have to focus on the storytelling, and then you have to be consistent. I program my page while everybody else is asleep. I'm posting, getting it all ready, so when people wake up on their stories and on the page, in the reels, the programming's done. So by the time I'll wake up to things that are already viral, and the things that are viral aren't even things that I'm promoting. That's okay. Because as long as the eyes are over here, and as long as the reach is reaching who it needs to reach, that's all that really matters. And Instagram has allowed trial reels, which is a breakthrough, because now when you use trial reels, it doesn't go to your main page. It's sent out to people who don't follow you, so you can pull in different types of fish. And then if it does well outside of your followers, then you can add it to your page. And it's a wonderful feature that I am really happy that the 3 minutes per post is a wonderful new addition for the 2025 season of Instagram. And also the trial reels to help expand your exposure to people outside of your normal base.
I love that. This episode was really good because we got to talk about a lot of different things, and I got to really talk to. I'm going to keep saying this: a musical genius, a musical icon, a musical legend. Like when you think of early '90s or mid '90s and early 2000s gospel and early 2000s R&B, you come up. Your impact, your sound, your creative genius, it comes up and it cannot be denied. No matter how many times people try to erase it, it cannot be denied.
There's a
What
lot
you
of
got?
revisionist versions of my career out there. So I appreciate you acknowledging my contributions, because
It's
I do feel
amazing.
invisible. I do feel invisible sometimes.
Yeah.
I do.
And that's
I feel like
sad.
everyone's kind of like reaping the benefits of the things I've laid down,
Right.
but they have a real serious problem tagging or acknowledging who I am. They don't mind showcasing who I was
Yeah.
and the hits I made, but they don't want to acknowledge what it took to rebrand, rebuild, and become even more successful as a result of that evolution. So your acknowledgement means more than you know, especially right
It's
now.
amazing. It's amazing. And I'm so happy I got to be able to actually sit down and talk with you. This is going to
Yes,
be a whole lot of other different episodes of us talking
yes,
about
yeah. We're
different
gonna keep this
things.
conversation going.
Yes, all the time because there is so much I want to ask. But right now, we're going to end this off. Do you want to end this off with anything that you want to say to somebody or people who are just in their creative zone right
Um, Record everything, film everything. Sometimes we're only filming the performance aspects of what we do, whether it's acting or, but also capture B-roll, which means like random things that have nothing to do with performance. With post all the time, post on as many platforms as possible. Wash, rinse, and repeat the ones that did well already. Run them again. What's old to you is new to somebody else.
now? Yeah.
We do that with our music. Oh, that's my old album. That's my old single. Well, if it was a hit then and it got traction then, I know we all want to do our newest stuff. But if it was a hit once, it's going to be a hit several other times. But you got to make sure that people know that. Don't treat your old stuff that's old to you, because most of it's futuristic. It's old to you, it's new to them. Don't forget that.
Mm, mm. It's old to you, it's new to them. And that's something that I'm going to take with me too. It's old to you, but it's new to them. So that I think that will even help a lot of creatives take a lot of stress off of having to always produce when we already have those things that can already be promote what
Yeah,
you
when
already
you
got.
first did it, you loved it. Now that
Yeah.
it's old, you talking shit about it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
treat it like it's some kind of unwanted
Yeah.
stepchild. All the time that
Yeah.
you received it, you thought it was because it was the best version of you at that time.
At that time. Yeah. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I needed this. Like this really has
Me too.
invigorated me. I needed this. I love y'all. I love all of my internet cousins. I hope that when you watch this, that your creativity and your business mind, your intellectual property just expands, child, and that you leave
Yes.
feeling motivated, inspired, and encouraged, and knowing that your two cousins right here, we
Yeah.
got you. We got you. We love you. And we just appreciate y'all for watching the show. Thank y'all.
We'll see you soon.